For centuries, the Slavic people have cultivated a unique and harmonious relationship with bees. Before modern equipment or even the thought of industrial beekeeping, they had already mastered the art of raising bees naturally. This is a story about how they did it, using only the resources that nature provided and a deep respect for the world around them. Let's start with the hive itself. Unlike the mass-produced wooden boxes you see in modern beekeeping, traditional Slavic beekeepers relied on what the land gave them: thick logs, straw, clay, and even woven baskets. These hives weren't just functional, they were carefully crafted and often passed down through generations, each one a piece of art. Let's take a look at two of the most popular styles: the log hive and the straw skep. Log hives were typically made from strong, durable trees like linden, oak, or pine. Beekeepers would hollow out thick logs, sometimes up to 3 to 5 feet long, and place these logs high up in trees or on elevated platforms. This wasn't just for aesthetics. Keeping the hives high protected the bees from hungry animals and kept the hives safe from ground moisture and the elements. Carving a log hive was no small task. It required knowledge of the wood, a steady hand, and patience. The inside had to be carefully shaped so that bees could build their comb naturally and comfortably. Beekeepers knew that a happy hive meant healthy bees and plenty of honey. Now let's talk about the straw skep, a hive style made by weaving straw and clay into a cozy dome shape. These weren't just any straw domes. The straw had to be carefully woven, sometimes treated with a thin layer of clay or even cow dung to make it more durable against the elements. You see, skeps create a snug, dark space for bees, which encourages them to work faster and store more honey. And because straw is a natural insulator, it helps keep the hive warm during colder seasons and cooler in the summer. Slavic beekeepers knew this, which is why the skep was a common hive structure in colder areas. Now, building the hive was just the beginning. Placement was equally important. Beekeepers in Slavic communities usually positioned their hives where bees could catch the morning sun. Facing the hives east or southeast helped the bees start their day earlier, giving them more time to gather nectar and build honey stores. Slavs also knew the importance of keeping their bees close to rich sources of nectar. Wildflower meadows, herb gardens and fruit trees provided bees with all they needed. The more diverse the flowers, the better the honey. But life isn't without its dangers, and beehives needed protection. Bears in particular had a sweet tooth for honey, so keeping hives up high or placing them within fenced areas or stone barriers helped reduce the risk of hungry intruders. Now that the hive is set, it's time to introduce the bees. In Slavic communities, there was no ordering bees from catalogues. Instead, beekeepers relied on capturing wild swarms, following bee scouts into the woods, tracking their path. And locating a wild hive was a skill passed down through generations. Once a swarm was found, beekeepers would carefully use large woven baskets or cloths to catch the bees and bring them back to their new home. This wasn't just practical, it was an act of connection with the bees, bringing a new colony into the family. Slavic beekeepers valued hardy local bees like the Carniolan bee, a breed known for its gentle nature and resilience to the cold. These bees could handle the harsh winters and the fluctuating seasons, adapting to the local flora like no other species. Keeping the bees healthy was an ongoing process. Beekeepers would place bundles of dried herbs like thyme, sage, or wormwood near the hive entrances. These herbs acted as natural pest repellents, helping keep mites, ants, and other pests away without the need for chemicals. After months of hard work, late summer or early autumn brought the long-awaited honey harvest. Timing was everything. Too early and the hive wouldn't have enough food stored. Too late, and the bees would face a harder winter. Beekeepers watched the bees closely, noting the thickness of the comb caps to judge when it was the right time to harvest. When that time came, they used simple handmade tools: a carved wooden knife to cut the honeycomb and a woven basket to carry it. There were no extractors or industrial equipment. It was all done by hand, gently and with respect for the hive. To separate the honey from the comb, beekeepers used natural cloths or woven sieves. They would press or squeeze the honeycomb by hand, straining it through these natural filters. This gave the honey a pure, raw quality, preserving its unique flavor and texture. The leftover wax didn't go to waste either. It was melted down and used for candles, a valuable source of light and comfort in rural households. With honey stored, the next task was to prepare for winter. Beekeepers would leave a portion of honey in the hive, making sure the bees had enough food for the cold months ahead. Feeding bees sugar wasn't a practice Slavs used. Honey was what the bees were meant to eat. To help the bees stay strong through the winter, beekeepers sprinkled dried herbal mixtures around the hives. Chamomile, yarrow and thyme provided a natural boost to their health. For extra warmth, hives were wrapped in straw mats or covered with animal skins. In some regions, beekeepers even placed the hives in recessed pits or small shelters made from stone or wood, adding a natural barrier against harsh winds and cold. Beekeeping was more than a practical skill. It was deeply connected to the community and spirituality. Bees were seen as part of the family, and beekeepers would even talk to their bees, informing them of major life events like weddings, births, and deaths. Nature was respected, not exploited. Many beekeepers planted herbs and wildflowers near the hives, not only to nourish the bees, but as a way of saying thank you to the land. They understood that the health of the bees was tied to the health of the environment. In a world where technology often separates us from nature, these traditional Slavic beekeeping practices remind us of a time when people worked with the land, not against it. They found harmony with nature, and in return, the bees provided them with the sweetest gift of all, honey. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of Slavic beekeeping. If you found this video meaningful, give it a like and share it with others who appreciate the timeless wisdom of nature. Until next time.